Welcome to Scorched Earth and a general reading for the sign of Scorpio, Sun, Moon or Ascendant for the month of July. I hope you are well. We're using the Crow Tarot for you today. Thank you for waiting for this video. I know that these are late. My apologies for that. Now, I'm kind of out of the loop with astrology, but I did come across something this morning. Apparently we're having some big Uranus transit of the North Node at the end of this month, around about the 29th, 30th, 31st, at some date like that. And what I understood from what I read was that this was going to affect fixed signs particularly very, very strongly. Now apparently if you want to see what aspect of your life will be highlighted by this transit, you should go and have a look and see where Taurus falls in your houses. I'm just sharing that because it's something that I read this morning. And we fixed signs. I don't know, I think forewarned is forearmed, right? So expect things to get a little bit crazy, possibly, towards the end of the month. I mean, realistically, you should be expecting things to be getting a little crazy anyway. Certainly they are in the UK at the moment. But anyway, let's leave that there and see what is going on with you specifically, Scorpio. Can I have 3 cards for Scorpio, please? There's the first one. We have the 5 of Wands in your recent past. And I have current energy. Wow. We have the Magician, we have the 3 of Swords, and we have the 4 of Wands together. Very unusual. There we go. Triple cards coming out, but we're going to take them because that looks quite strong to me. It looks like a very empowered sort of stance, but nonetheless, what's coming towards Scorpio in July? We have the 5 of Pentacles, right? I don't want you to worry about that because we do have the Page of Swords at the bottom of the deck. Now, I mean, we're going to talk about that a little bit more, later on. Because we're going to go left to right here. But the 5 of Pentacles, it speaks about poverty, or it speaks about just a general lack of something, right? Or it can speak to a fear of those things. So there's the first thing. We don't necessarily have the poverty or the lack. We have a fear of those. But the way that I read, the 5 of Pentacles speaks to me very much about how we fail to meet our own basic needs. I see this as a theme that comes up time and time and time again. And generally it's because we're not aware that we're doing it. We're not aware that we are, in some way restricting ourselves or sabotaging ourselves. That's the big one. Sometimes we just don't even know what we want, right, or what we need, and so we're unable to be able to give that to ourselves, and particularly in cases where we have grown up in childhood situations that have not shown us how to advocate for our own needs, and not given any kind of validation to any kind of feelings at all, any kind of emotions, where there's general trauma involved. It makes it very, very difficult to know what you need, not only to survive, but actually to, to thrive. So, I am not concerned about this 5 of Pentacles here, because I think by the time the clarifiers come out, I think what we're going to be looking at is an understanding of where this 5 of Pentacles has been operating in your existence, wherever that is, right? So, let's give these a shuffle. Get some clarifiers out. Can I have 5 of Wands, please? Why is that here? We have the Queen of Swords and we have the 8 of Cups. Tell me about the Magician and the 3 of Swords and the 4 of Wands. We have that 5 of Pentacles again. Oh, we also have the Ace of Pentacles. That's nice. I'm out there. There we go. One more card for that, please. Yes. 7 of Wands in reverse. Yeah, I like the way that this is going. Tell me about the 5 of Pentacles, please. Why is that here for Scorpio? We have the World card and the Page of Swords again. Okay, I like this. Actually, oh fuck me, there's the 4 Four of Wands at the bottom of the deck. I like this, Scorpio. I like this for you a lot, because although it could be a little bit challenging, that's not something that you're not used to, right? It's not like this is coming out of fucking left field and you've had this, very privileged and charmed life where everything's just gone right. You're a fucking Scorpio. So we know by definition that actually probably the reverse is true of that, right the way through your existence. Which is not to say being born a Scorpio is, some sort of, karmic punishment or something like that. But Scorpio is the only sign that has 3 iterations of evolution, right? And we don't evolve and grow in defaults, and we tend to sit in default when it's comfortable, right? So in order for you to change and grow and evolve and be able to go through these 3 different iterations of existence, you've got to be made to be fucking uncomfortable, and that's something that you're kind of accustomed to. Now, it doesn't mean that you should put up with things being difficult just for the sake of it, because there's some sort of big higher purpose, some big spiritual mission about it. But it does mean that if you can, in some way, navigate with grace the challenges that are coming up for you, you don't have to make it any harder for yourself, That's why I was looking for this. I couldn't see it anywhere. It was just tucked up against a deck of cards. So, I like the broad strokes of this very much, and I do feel like that Uranus transit that I was just talking about at the beginning is coming to bear at the end of the month, right? With that World card there, I feel like this is where we're headed. So I'm glad that I mentioned it to you. I didn't have an opportunity to mention it to Leo or Taurus, whose readings I've done already, because obviously I've done them already and I found this out this morning. So, in your recent past, you have this 5 of Wands here. Now, this is a card of conflict, and that can be active conflict with other people. I mean, there were other cards that I would expect to see with it, the Devil card and stuff like that, and that would be quite an unpleasant situation. But you don't have that, which is good. Or it can be more of a kind of passive conflict, the kind of conflict that we have with ourselves, and we kind of walk around often, I think. There's a big bag of conflicts and a big bag of, what's the word that I'm looking for? Not juxtapositions. Yeah, we kind of walk around with a lot of cognitive bias about things, right? Cognitive dissonance, there we go, fucking got there in the end. But it tends to be quite passive, because it only really comes out when we've got a decision to make that kind of touches on that, it pokes it, makes us, consider what we feel about X and what we feel about Y, and this point where they're supposed to meet in the middle and they just don't, right? So, say, for example, this is a really very basic and very stupid example, right? You're trying to live a spiritual existence, you're trying to be really good and all that sort of thing, but there's somebody who just keeps pressing your fucking buttons over and over again, and you just, you lose your temper, or you do, whatever it is that you do, and then you feel bad about that, because not only have you lost your temper, but you're actually trying to be this more spiritual, more evolved version of, a human being, and here you are, lapsing into rage, lapsing into anger. Like, in those kind of situations, I would say, yes, we make mistakes and we learn from it and all that kind of thing. But, I spoke in the shadow videos that I did, the Solvay Coagula videos. If you haven't seen them, I'll link them at the end. That, a lot of these emotions that we have, and we're going to stick with anger for now, just because it's there, right? We can't put stuff into a good bucket or a bad bucket, right? Here are the good things about me that I love those. Here's all the bits about me that I don't like. We're just going to shove those under the bed and we're going to pretend that they don't exist, right? If you've seen the shadow videos, like, I've explained why that should be the case. Because what you want to do is make friends with all these bits of you, because you're losing your temper and you've got anger management issues, right? That sort of thing. There's something causing that. Anger is a signpost to something. It isn't really a true emotion in and of itself. But it does have an ethical utility because it can help, you know, it can help with passion, it can help with motivation, it can help with leadership, like a willingness to get things done, like stand up and be the person who does these things, because there's a bit of anger in there, because there's a bit of aggression in there, you know. It's being able to say no and be taken seriously, like those sorts of things. I'm kind of wandering from the point here, but this feels to me like a certain amount of internal conflict that you are experiencing about something. Now, this could be really rather abstract for you. It could be a restless feeling that you can't really place, don't know why it's there, or it can be about something very, very specific. Either way, what we can be assured of is that you are thinking about this very deeply at the moment. We've got that Libra card of the Queen of Swords there, and she's all going on up here, the Queen of Swords. High levels of discernment for sure, but high levels of objectivity. And what is she looking at? She's looking at this Eight of Cups here. Now look at the positioning of the characters in this card. We've got a Queen of Swords who is, you know, to all intents and purposes, the authority figure in these three cards that we've got there, right? And she's sitting on a throne and she's looking all just and all that kind of thing. She has her Ace of Swords there and she is beckoning someone to come forwards. There. She's like, all right, your turn, you're up. And what is she getting in response? Somebody turning their back and walking away. Now, the Eight of Cups is a card that deals with the idea that we outgrow emotions, we outgrow situations, and we outgrow people emotionally, right? And sometimes the right thing to do is to walk away, is to leave. But this feels like a conflict between heart and head here. Because logically, it looks to me like you feel like you should be going to fix this thing. Maybe this is part of I'm trying to be a more spiritual person. I'm trying to be a nicer person. I'm trying to be the kindness in the world that is missing right now. But then the Eight of Cups is on a wander. The Eight of Cups is gone. Tell me about this Eight of Cups. We've got the Eight of Wands. We've got the King of Pentacles and we've got the King of Wands. Interesting. Because this feels like it's an attempt to reclaim power here. Now, neither of these kings are yours. It's not the King of Cups here. This is not... It's not easy to place you in this selection of cards, but we do have this fixed energy to the side of you with the King of Pentacles, which is Taurus, and the King of Wands, which is Leo. And what I'm trying to work out is if these are energies, these are people, or these are different aspects of you that you are trying to empower in what you're doing at the moment. You know, we've got double eights here, and eights very much concerned with power and being successful, and sometimes in a shadowy form it's about domination and repression and all that kind of thing. But it's the Cups card that I keep coming back to here. It's a sense that you have walked away from something because it felt like it was the right thing to do. Or, more likely, it didn't feel right to stay. Which is slightly different to it felt right to leave. But it feels to me like you're kind of up in your head about this, Scorpio. You're trying not to be. You're trying to go with the feeling, and the feeling is important. Very, very important here. Particularly for you. Why are these cards here? Because it feels like you've had some news. It feels like you've had some sort of communication. And it feels to me like you're not prepared to put up with anything, with something anymore. And you are making changes. You're going in a different direction. You know, there's a sense here of kind of finding yourself a little bit. Because although the Cups card is here, it's not a Scorpio card, but it's still a Cups card, it's still water, it's still emotion, you know. It's strictly kind of lower level to what's going on with all of these court hierarchies around here. So maybe with the Queen of Swords, what you've actually done is you cut something off, right? You know, it could be a job, it could be a person, you know, it could be a relationship of sorts, whatever it is. And you are now going the right way, because where you were before was not filling your cups. It was not making you feel fulfilled in any sort of way. You know, and the chap in the Eight of Cups here is headed off towards the ninth. He needs the ninth cup because that is his personal fulfillment right there, right? But we've got this Eight of Wands and this King of Pentacles and this King of Wands here. And so the focus is on the doing, the focus is on the planning, the focus is on the building here for you. Or the other possibility is that you are trying to wriggle out from under the yoke, under the shadow of other kings who are in some way restricting your movement. You know, it's like you've realised in the grand scheme of things that you've been sitting at a queen level. Good Lord. And what you actually need is to be a king. And because queens are receptive, it's like, why am I going to allow this to just happen at me? Like, in order to make changes, I need to be active. I need to do a thing. I need to have a plan. I need to do something. Like, it could be either way, to be honest, here with you. But you feel deeply unsettled, to me, at the moment, Scorpio, and that's good for all the reasons that I iterated right at the beginning there. Like, you have to be made to feel uncomfortable so that you move, so that you change, so that you grow, so that you evolve. Standing still and sticking with the default is no good for you, and particularly not at this point. This feels very specific, like right now you need to be moving, and the more uncomfortable you are about it, or that you feel about it, the more uncomfortable you are when you think about it, let's get this straight, the more likely it is that you are actually headed in the right direction. Because we've got this Page of Swords here, right? This is new information coming to light. This is a change of mindset. This is a change in the way that you are thinking about things. And what are you changing the way that you're thinking of? What is it that you're changing your mind over? We've got the Five of Cups, which is a Scorpio card. And then we've got the Nine of Swords here. And it's almost like, actually, you realise that you're done with thinking. That's why I think you're walking away from the Queen of Swords. It's just like, I'm kind of having all of this stuff happen at me, and I know it, and the more I think about it, the more I get up in my head and I get uptight about it, and I start to worry that I'm missing opportunities, or I've missed out on something else, you know, or I focus on what it is that I've lost rather than what it is that I can build for myself now, right? How I can make things better, how I can improve myself, right? Because the cards underneath there are the Ten of Cups and the Ace of Pentacles. Now, to go from the 8 to the 10, right, well, we don't really want you to do that. We want you to hit the 9 somewhere along the way. And I think that this is the process that you are undergoing here, if I am honest, because we don't really like you to skip too much. It's not a good idea. But this is an opportunity for fulfillment of not just you, but also other people. Now, that could be your group of friends, that could be family, that could be work colleagues, that could be whoever, general soul tribe, that could be. But this is a pinnacle that you are wanting to walk towards, and you have realised, it seems to me, that you could not get there by staying where you were. Now, you might not necessarily be terribly happy, and I suspect for most of you, you're not terribly happy about what walking away from that means, because we do have this Five of Cups and we do have this this Nine of Swords, And yet, still there is a doing going on here. There is both a plan and there is the execution of a plan going on with these two cards, with these two kings. Now, when we move into your current energy, we have the Magician, the Three of Swords, and the Four of Wands. Like I said, it's quite unusual to get a glut of cards that big in these readings. Sometimes happens in Vimeo, to be honest, and I always go with it for that. But is this not summing up really neatly this energy of feeling the pain and doing it anyway? I think it is, and that's a very Scorpio thing to do. We've spoken a lot about that. Like, I see you, Scorpio. I know what you put yourself through to avoid hurting other people, and I know how often that is misunderstood and misrepresented, but I see you. I know what it's about. So we have the Magician and we have the Four of Wands. Let's take this Three of Swords, and we're going to I'm just going to stand it up on the table there, actually, because it's almost like we can take as a given that somewhere your heart is hurting about what it is that you are doing, right? Somewhere there's a little bit of a, whether it's a sense of disloyalty, whether it's, you know, it could be anything, right? It hurts. But we're going to push through and we're going to look at what else is going on. Because aside from the pain, what we have here is the Magician and the Four of Wands. And the Magician is an extremely powerful card, right? It's a card that speaks of what can be achieved when all of the elements, the Wands and the Cups and the Pentacles and the Swords, are placed together in the right ratio with the Magician's will, like what can be manifested. And the truth of the matter is absolutely anything, right? You can have anything that you want. You have all the tools you need to create whatever it is that you want for yourself. And you are bound only by the limits of your own imagination. Now, it's here with the Four of Wands card, which is the creation of a new foundation. Right? That's what that means to me. I mean, it's a card of joy and happiness, and sometimes it's called the wedding card, right? But for me, that four, it's about building a base for yourself. And when it's coming up with the Magician, it's strongly indicating that you can do this. You can absolutely manifest what it is that you're trying to do for yourself. But there's always a cost. There's always a cost. It always takes something, because nothing is created, nothing is destroyed. It literally just it merely changes form. That's what it does. So if you want if you want to feel emotional fulfillment, right, first you must check that you are fulfilling yourself in the best way that you possibly can, because the chances are that you're probably not. But then you need to go and find people who are also resonating at that frequency, right? I'm talking about that Nine of Cups energy, which is the missing link between the 8 and the 10. Right? These are people who have also similarly owned their shit and they're doing their thing, and they don't require anybody else to do that for them, right? Now, because you're Scorpio, I think we can kind of take as read that there is a lot of ownership of yourself going on here, right? Your own shit. But there's more. There's more that you're looking for, and that's what you're going after at the moment. And in the interim period, what you are doing is creating the proper conditions for what it is that you want to flourish, to be able to do so, right? What you want to be able to manifest, to be able to do so. The clarifiers that we have underneath here are the Five of Pentacles, the Ace of Pentacles, and the Seven of Wands. And this is interesting because this is a very defensive energy. Sometimes it's a protective energy, and those two things are nuancedly different, right? Not quite the same. We've got somebody here who is being attacked by, you know, these invisible assailants. That's 6 wands just kind of being thrust at him. And that in itself is interesting, because the 6 of wands is a card of success. It's a card of victory. You know, when I see this here, sometimes there's a notion of self-sabotage. It's like, why are you trying to fight off your own victory when it's actually kind of coming for you? It's a perspective thing. Why are you so threatened by these 6 wands when they might well represent here a victory for you? But let's assume that it isn't, right? Let's assume it's an attack of some sort, or at least an expectation of an attack. Because realistically, these might just be really, really short ones that are just plonked in the ground, in which case he's kind of fighting nothing, right? Might be practicing and whatnot, but he looks pretty fucking stricken. And the point is, it's come up in the reverse for you. This is realizing that you don't have to fight everything. It's realizing you don't have to, you don't have to make things hard for yourself as often you have done. You know, well, it's the best way to learn, I think. It's the way I learned everything, is make it really fucking hard for yourself and then realize that you could do it better. And talk about, dropping the need to feel like you need to defend yourself at all times to other people and even to yourself, because I think that your biggest enemy for you, Scorpio, is always yourself. It is always you who beats yourself up harder than anybody else possibly can. You know, you're so used to being misunderstood that you kind of take it as a given now that that's just what people will do, and they have no idea how hard a time you give yourself in the privacy of your own head, you know. But let's have a look at these 2 cards here. We've got the 5 of Pentacles and we've got the Ace of Pentacles, and I like this because together they form a balance, right? They form that 6 of Pentacles that comes in like this, but it isn't the 6 of Pentacles. It's 2 separate cards. It's asking, you know, for you to transmute this into whatever the Ace of Pentacles means to you, whatever it is that you are trying to manifest for yourself. You know, I said right there at the beginning that I didn't think that the 5 of Pentacles was actually an issue for you. I didn't think it was incoming, you know, final and irrevocable financial ruin or anything like that. More, it was an understanding of where these things have been causing an issue for you, whatever this 5 of Pentacles represents in your existence, right? And we see it here, because I'm not going to say it's an easy thing to do, because it isn't, but you kind of make it look easy, Scorpio, right? Using the Magician and the will, it seems to me, is to create this 4 of Wands here through your actions, right? Through your intent and through your actions, and despite the discomfort that you feel in doing it, and make use of proper opportunities. And so, you know, when it comes to manifestation, as some people say, well, you know, when you're doing manifestation work, are you actually creating that opportunity, or are you just creating a state of awareness in your brain whereby you are primed to see those opportunities more readily than perhaps anybody else would? Think, for example, as a woman being pregnant, like suddenly, you find out you're pregnant, you're walking around, you're only maybe 6-7 weeks gone, and suddenly every other fucking person is pregnant. You just see them everywhere. Now, has there just been, an incredible explosion of pregnant women? No. Your brain is just primed to notice that now, right? And it's the same sort of thing here, possibly. Because what I would respond to that is, does it fucking matter? Ultimately, I mean, do you need to know the nuts and bolts and the mechanics of how these things work, or do you just need to utilize it? I feel the Magician just needs to utilize it, right? Do we all know how a car works when it's going forwards? No, but can we drive? Yes, we can, right? That sort of energy. I don't know how my fucking phone works. If somebody gave me all the pieces and when they go, make yourself a mobile phone, I'll be like, no, I don't know what I'm doing, right? But I can use it pretty competently. The thing is for you here is, it seems to me like it's not a realization that things aren't as bad as you thought they were, but rather a realization that things are probably exactly as you thought they were, but it is within your remit to be able to change them, right? It's within your power to be able to do it. Because the Magician's a really powerful card. It's a very powerful card. And the energy of these kings is pretty powerful. But I mean, let's not underestimate the power of a mindset shift. That can be absolutely, well, life-changing. What do we have here? We've got the Empress, speaking of pregnant women. There she pops out. We've got the Empress. What else? And the High Priestess. Oh, interesting. We now have the King of Swords at the bottom of the deck, which is Aquarius energy right there. And you now have 3 of the 4 kings that make up the active masculine energy of the tarot. But you also have the Empress and the High Priestess, which are very, very strong feminine archetypes. Now, Scorpio is a feminine sign, right? Like you just are. It doesn't matter whether you're a man or a woman, right? It's that very deep sense of connection to your emotions, which is, which is what I think helps your intuition come through, right? I've got this idea, this theory that they kind of work very, very closely together, and if your emotions are a bit of a mess, then it creates this kind of wall of static where your intuition tries to speak to you, but all you hear is white noise, right? This Empress and this High Priestess are coming down, they're clarifying the Ace of Pentacles. Opportunities of your creation. Whether you notice them, whether you create them, like whatever, it doesn't really matter. But this is a really strong energy of harnessing something, of pulling something down. I mean, she's the keeper of secrets, she's the keeper of wisdom, right? She is connected. But she's connected emotionally. She's connected almost like natively, where the Magician needs to act as a lightning rod twixt ether and earth. That's what he needs to do. The High Priestess just allows it to come through. It's very, very passive, but at the same time it's here with the Empress card, which is Taurus, your opposite sign. And if shit's going off in the North Node, and the North Node is currently in Taurus, then you're going to feel this very, very strongly. So all the fixed signs are going to feel it, but right, this is about creation. This is about gestation. It's about fertility. It's about abundance. Don't worry, you're not all going to get pregnant. It's more about what it is that you are creating. What is it that you are drawing down and working on right now? Because part of it is going to be you, but part of it is going to be a change in your material existence somewhere. Taking it from what feels like this, through this, and actually this, to this. Right? The possibility of something new and wonderful and awesome. The Seven of Wands is really sort of bringing home this idea that what you want is very close to you, and actually has been very close to you for a long time. What was necessary was dropping the guard a little bit, dropping the defensiveness just a little bit, to allow yourself to receive the information. Actually, is what it feels like to me. So by the time we come to what's coming through for you for July, like this Five of Pentacles doesn't feel anywhere near as threatening, and I just didn't get a bad vibe off it, to be honest. When it appeared, it felt more enlightening, actually. And we've got it here with the World and the Page of Swords. Now, this, I feel, is validating exactly what I just said a minute ago, which is that, you know, what you want is actually kind of close to you at this point, right? And it's been close to you for a while. Now, you may not have seen it because things might have been a little bit upside down, a little bit topsy-turvy. Maybe you had not been meeting your own basic needs in whatever sense that applies. You know, where was your deficit? Was it in your time, your care, your money, your effort, your love? And how those things are invested into you? Or is it a situation outside of you? The important thing is the clarity is coming, because what we have here is an end. We have an end of a cycle. And for me, it seems very much like it's talking about the Five of Pentacles. What you have is an end to this Five of Pentacles kind of energy that has been, feels like it's been nibbling at your ankles for quite a while, Scorpio. But notice this Page of Swords here. Notice how he is looking at this end, and it's like the illumination, the epiphany, the mindset shift. Oh, this is how I fucking end it. This was how I was supposed to tidy it all up, right? I get it. Where am I standing in my own fucking way? Where am I not investing in myself? And how can I change that? I put it here. I'm going to bring you back to this King of Swords. Like I said, it's Aquarius energy, but it talks about, well, you can talk about all of the professions, right? You can talk about, you know, the traditional professions like lawyers and judges and accountants, some surgeons and doctors and that sort of thing, right? But for me, the King of Swords, I forgot what they were called, King of Swords, when it shows up here, it talks about decision making, right? So what we've had is the Queen of Swords back here, which is taking all of that information, perhaps trying to cut things out, you know, perhaps trying to assimilate loads of stuff that actually wasn't for you. And here we've got the King of Swords going, actually, what you need to do is break it off. We've got the Four of Swords next to that. It's my meditation card, that one. But it also talks about processing. It talks about healing, often, right? It's another card numbered 4. It's another foundational level card. Now, this Three of Swords that we just, I guess I kind of exalted it really, put it up there. It doesn't need to be in your way anywhere near as much as you perceived it to have done. It's like if you choose to move to the Four of Swords and look for the ways, meditate on the ways in which the Five of Pentacles has been an operating force in your life, and where you have allowed it to act as such, you immediately give yourself the power to stop it. Now, sometimes in the comments, and it's particularly noticeable on the Scorpio readings, I get people going, I'm all alone, I can't do anything, everything's fucked, you know. Some of them are really quite dramatic. And it's like, I want to take every one of those people and kind of pick them up by the scruff of the neck and just give them a shake and go, like, you are consenting to feel like this. You are consenting to keep yourself in this state. Like, why have you not noticed that your consent is the most important thing here in this whole situation, right? You could choose to do the things that fill you with joy, but instead you choose to focus on this. And month in, month out, it's the same voices that come up. Now, Scorpio, you're supposed to be evolving, you're supposed to be maturing, you're supposed to be reaching for these heights that are accessible perhaps to you and you alone out of the zodiac, right? But it's got to be conscious. There's got to be a conscious choice. You can't just drift around and have everything work out for you. Most Scorpios that I know wouldn't even dream of thinking about it that way, but some do, right? And the key here, like the magician aspect of this here, is knowing that you have the power to change your circumstances, your fucking mind, everything. You are never stuck. You might be fixed, but it doesn't mean that you need to, you know, stick with your default all of the time. You can do things differently. And by the end of this month, I think that you are going to be doing things differently, because you're going to see what that Five of Pentacles means and how you have consented to it. Now, it's not the end of the matter, because I feel like that revelation in and of itself, although that will break open a great deal of fucking obstructions so that you can get through it. It feels like it's a landing pad for you to hit before you bounce off somewhere else, right? When suddenly all of these things that have felt like they are, restrictive, where it feels like there's a huge deficit, suddenly it's the space for opportunity, and suddenly this is something that you can fill with all manner of abundance, should you choose to do it. I mean, will it be hard work? Yes, possibly. But are you afraid of hard work? No, because you're a Scorpio. Like, it just doesn't... I think all of the fixed signs, mostly, tend to have a good sense of the level of work that is required to shift circumstances. But the World card ultimately is a card of celebration. It's a card of graduation. It's a card of getting to the next level. It's a card of tying things up nicely so that you can move on. And I think that this is happening for you this month. I think towards the end of the month, it would serve you well to notice where the leaks in your power are and plug them up, and then reassess, if all of these things that were restricting you or holding you back or making you feel like you were, in a state of deprivation or whatever, if all of those things were eliminated, what would you do? Because your end goal cannot be simply the elimination of the Five of Pentacles, and mostly for most people, all of the time, that's what it is. Oh, I just want things to be better, and it's all about getting yourself back up to a state of neutrality. And it's like, well, actually, life's a bit more than that. It's not about mitigating all of the fucking horror and shit and all that sort of thing. It's getting to that point of neutrality, yes, but then it's fucking bouncing off and growing and evolving and doing all of those fantastic fucking learning things that we like to do. And to that end, situations where you're lonely can't be fixed by somebody coming along. Like, you can't. You literally can't. Because loneliness is not the absence of another person. It's an absence of a decent relationship with yourself, and I think a lot of people would do well to remember that. Anyway, I'm going over to Vimeo because I feel like there's quite a lot is going to come out about transition and processing and what the end of the month really is going to look like for you. So if you would like to join me over there, you are obviously more than welcome as ever. The link is down in the description box. You are also welcome to join my Patreon community, should you choose to do so, where you would get access to all of the extended content for no extra cost. And they are an absolutely fucking sterling group of people over there. They really got my back, and I just love the bones of all of them. I'm actually incredibly humbled to have them around me. So if you fancy being a part of that, a link is also in the description box for that. But if not, that's not a problem either, because the important thing is, once you realise how you are getting in your own way, and I don't care how spiritual or how evolved or how anything you are, I mean, like, I wouldn't do that to myself. I can tell you for an absolute fucking fact that you probably are doing that to yourself, because everybody does it at some point or another, and that's okay. It's okay, because we can just forget about that once we start doing the good stuff instead, or we don't forget about the lessons that we learned in the process, but we can forget about the frustration and the rage and all of the other stuff that comes with it. Just be like, oh, I see the lesson now, and move on. Anyway, right, I'm gonna go. Know that I love you all very, very much, and I'll see you soon.